A very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
Well,
it's always my pleasure.
Let's delve right into it. It's quite exciting. We here at ADBN have been celebrating even before today.
Yes.
And the day has finally come.
Yes.
To celebrate this great man. Firstly, as someone who has worked quite closely with him,
yes.
What do you make of the day?
Well, if you look at the newspapers, it tells you the story. You know, there are people that you say is only when they're in office people appreciate them.
Yeah.
But you look at the words that have been used and the expression of those words, it tells you a whole lot of who the man Godswill Akpabio is.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that as the president of the 10th Senate, most people do not know this, and I always like to speak with facts.
Yeah.
What he has been able to achieve in those let me say 2.5 years, because it's 2.5 years down the line. I'm almost certain, because I've done that comparative analysis as his communication and strategy consultant.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot more than what the 7th, 8th, and 9th Senate did achieve.
Interesting.
And that's because he has adopted an approach that people don't like. They like people fighting. They like the infighting. They like the confrontations. And as long as he's not confronting the executive, they see him as a rubber stamp. But the fact remains that he's able to navigate, he's able to keep the Senate, he's able to keep the National Assembly. Because what some people do not understand too is that as the President of the Senate, he doubles as the Chairman of the National Assembly, which also has to do with the House of Reps. And so even when he doesn't have to confront, as they want him to confront, he's able to reject some things. That is behind the scene, and they are able to,
without it escalating.
That's exactly, you just took the word out of me, and you're able to look at it. You know, sometimes I discuss with him, and I also have my frustrations, and like, why is boss trying to do it this way?
Yeah.
But later on, you get to understand that he has had his reason for taking those decisions when you now see it pan out, because everybody wants a situation whereby you just see the Senate. For example, look at the budget. We're talking about 55 trillion. And we have a budget deficit of 13 trillion. How do you fund that deficit? You can only fund it when you borrow. And so by the time the request for loans come from the president, everybody is shouting that, the Senate is not even...
Or the Senate is just
pandering to the executive. Yeah. But what they forget is that this is a budget. A budget is a law. People don't seem to understand. Once you go against the law, you are liable to be charged to court. So the budget is a law, and if the Senate and the House of Representatives have actually passed this budget, and this budget is now assented to by the president, you have to make the budget work. And if the budget has made provisions for a certain deficit, you have to borrow to fill it up.
Yeah.
And that is why these borrowings are done. I just use that as an example. Yeah. And if you look at it again, the first wave of this civilian administration in 1999 to 2007, we had the Niger Delta Development Commission, and we never had any other commission until under President Buhari, which was the Niger, that is the Northeast Development Commission. But you see what?
And then of course subsequent development commissions under the current administration.
That's under Godswill Akpabio's leadership. Now we have the Northwest Development Commission. We have the North Central. Yes. No, Northeast wasn't under him. Okay. You have the South, you have the Southwest, and you have the Southeast Development Commissions. Yeah. I see, what do these commissions represent? For example, I have been a commissioner for a development commission, so I can speak firsthand on it. Yeah. They bring government nearer to the people. They actually ensure that grassroots development is taken to the doorstep of the people.
I mean, we have seen that,
and that is exactly what it is.
Quite explicitly.
Are you not seeing how the chairman and how the managing director of the NDDC is being celebrated all over? Because we are seeing what you call infrastructural development. And if we didn't have the NDDC, if you go to my village, for example, everywhere is like London. I am telling you for real, it's lit up like London. And that is how it goes for almost everywhere in the Niger Delta. And that is exactly what Godswill Akpabio's led Senate, because they have been leading by sorry, you're coming. If you also look at the tax bill, If you notice, the House of Rep wanted to trade with that tax bill.
That's true.
There was so much rancor. It was the navigation of the Senate. In fact, I actually spoke to him 45 minutes on the phone.
Wow.
On that tax bill. We spoke in the wee hours of the morning. Wow. And he made me understand the certain areas, the certain permutations, the certain areas we could send messages to the members of the public. And I dare say that by the time we worked it out that way, people were able to understand that even the value-added tax that the governors were complaining about, they were so bitter about it and wanted to throw away the baby and the bathwater. But the Senate President said, look, this is what I believe in. It's not even about it being an executive bill. We needed this tax bill. Because if we're talking about IGR, we're running a mono economy. We're not getting money from mining. Let's call it spade a spade. Agriculture, because of the farmer headers crisis, you can't call Benue and Plateau the food baskets as it used to be. Certainly. So it is still oil that is our mainstay. And so the Senate President has been able to look at it that while we are navigating our thorny areas in security, we can also get the IGR from tax. And what is there in the tax bill? He was able to look at the advantages of the tax bill, 25% reduction for company income tax from 30%. We're able to even get those who are earning 1 million naira and below, which is the minimum wage, not to pay tax. And that incentives makes it impossible for you to have all these multiple tax. And the tax increase is in such a way that, in fact, the way Oyedele put it is exactly how I will put it. We might be able to end up to 40 trillion in a year.
And all of these were achieved under the purview and leadership of the Senate President.
These are the facts.
And the leader of the national chairman of the National
That is a fact. And that was where the House of Rep took the cue from and decided to now key into it.
In a moment, we will delve right into his achievements and contributions to the growth of the Niger Delta. But let's talk about his person, as human as possible.
Yes.
We all know that he's a very jovial and playful person. Even during plenary, he just can't hold himself from throwing those jokes around.
That is where some of us, especially for somebody like me that happen to be part of his image making, get to be worried when he's having that microphone.
Exactly. That's
once
just
where
once he has that
microphone, you cannot stop Godswill Akpabio. Yeah. But the funny thing about it is that the humane side of him, I've come to realize is a part of him. You can't take that away from him. No matter how you try to say, "Oh, boss, please, let's try to look at these issues. Let's try." Forget it.
But
once he has that
mic,
but you see, no, what he does is, I found a situation where he's able to, allow serious issues. When people are getting serious, he's able to water it down. Yeah. He's able to allow people loosen up.
Like an icebreaker.
Yes, but people tend to read a whole lot of negatives to it. We've dealt with a lot of issues because of that. But you see, at the end of the day, it's what when a man has a focus. Yeah. And I did come to realize it because I was asking him, I said, how are you able to build a stadium in Uyo? That today we have the Super Eagles using it as their home ground, their stadium. We had the National Stadium in Lagos. It's a shadow of itself. We have Abuja. We have other stadiums.
But then whenever they want to play a game, a very important game, it's Uyo.
So how did you have that foresight? And how did you have that vision? And how did you have those funds? Yeah. Do you understand? Let's not go into other things that I know he did as a governor, which earned him uncommon. And he said, look, I had a focus. I knew that this was a vision. And I had to put in funds over 3 years, dedicated. Yeah. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the payments for the contractors, they're coming directly from my allocation.
As a governor.
As a governor. So does that not show somebody with a focus? Because he knew he needed to finish that stadium. He knew it was... some people would have called it Elephant Project. As at then, I wasn't working with him, but I could imagine how they would have complained. What would the stadium do to us? But you can imagine the income that that has been bringing into the government of Uyo every and any time the Super Eagles are playing matches. And sometimes in the year they play up to 10 matches. Sometimes even more than 10. Wow. When they have such competitions like the African Coordination Qualifiers, the World Cup qualifiers, we keep seeing it. Yeah. And that focus on you has made it possible for the governor now to say that he's going to upgrade the stadium. Of course, it's been an international stadium. They will actually make it a destination hub where you can actually fly from Uyo out of the country and get into Uyo. And we must give it to Godswill Akpabio, whether you like it or not. That was his baby, that was his drive, and he was able to put it on ground. Now
for you as part of his image-making team, how do you handle that side of him? That is specifically what I want to understand.
Oh yes, when we have our challenges, we had a lot of challenges this year. I won't lie to you, in terms of, attacks on his image.
On his
It hurts me because it also hurts my brand.
That's right.
Because it shows that some of us are not able to, sometimes they'll say, oh, some of you are not able to keep the job of his image. But, funny enough, some of these things don't make sense. It's like when there was this story that they just cut off, 8 seconds video. He said, anywhere you see food, go and eat. And everybody just believes that story.
On social
and
media,
it was everyone on social media,
and,
went trending.
And bloggers twisted it.
How
in a
did you know?
way.
But by the time we released the full version of the video, he was talking to his colleagues. It was his first day in office. He was having a dinner and he was only jokingly telling them that, look, better come, let us go and eat this food.
In his usual
jovial manner. And we had to go through that for almost a week. And even when we were able to define, and bad news travels faster than good news.
That's right.
Even when we were able to define that, look, this was the truth, and some investigative journalists, were able to do their own research, it's still a lot of people will still refer to that, even as I speak to you. Some people will still refer to it and say he said it. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So you see, what we have told ourselves is, look, what we are selling Godswill Akpabio with is his report card.
Yeah.
And his report card is very rich. Most people don't see what we do behind the scenes. We block a lot of negative news because we have had a whole lot of relationships over time. Because of all these negatives that have come in, it has made us even know the ones that we wouldn't have ordinarily known. Both the bloggers, both the electronic media, print media, traditional media. And just like the president said, social media has made everybody a publisher.
Yeah.
Once you can have a hand on your handle, you can twist or you can turn any story around.
Fake news flying all around.
One of the things that I see they try to do is they try to drive traffic. Yes. When they drive traffic, you get paid by Twitter, you get paid by Facebook, you get paid by Instagram, and so you just lie on the man just because you want to make money. And so what we have also decided is that we will use some people as an example. As a guinea pig, so that it will act as a deterrent. And that's why I'm happy that it was also his Senate that put teeth to the Cybercrime Act.
Yes.
And people don't know how potent that Cybercrime Act is, where even if you retweet a lie, you can be held liable to it. So these are the measures we have put in place. But one thing importantly we do is, people don't see it because you don't work, they don't know how to work it. But most of those negative news that mostly come, you don't see them because we have blocked them. Because we're able to know that sometimes they reach out to us and say, oh, this is what this is what I'm about to publish, this is what I'm about to say, this is what it is. We also get our intelligence from those who work with us, who are sympathetic to the fact that he has been dragged for no reason in a lot of issues. I mean, Senator Akpabio is not a perfect human being. Of course, nobody is perfect. So, but more often than not, tell the story of a man for who he is. And that's exactly the story that we have sold to the outside. Okay, for example, look at the last 1 week, where he was talking to Senator Sani Musa and was clearly telling him that, look, Nigerians are going through a harrowing period. While we know General Musa to be a fine gentleman, to be one that the whole country is applauding, both the opposition and the ruling party, we will not tell him to take a bow and go. We want him to speak. Yes, we want him to speak. And of course, he trended for the whole day very positively, because people could see, this is who Godswill Akpabio is. But most times when he doesn't speak that way, they tend to want to say, oh no, he toes with the executive, which is not always the true position.
In essence, he has a way of balancing that jovial nature with a very serious.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. When he sees the situation is not such that, look, this is not one we can. Okay, on the issue of power, he condemned the power holding companies. He condemned the transition companies of Nigeria.
Quite openly on the floor of the Senate.
Did you follow that?
Yeah.
It trended a lot on my Twitter handle, like Kenny Okolugbo, and we spread it around. And he was very adamant that, look, people cannot keep paying for light that they don't see. So people do not want to see. Look, we have a catalogue of all these, positions that he has taken. Naturally, one would have said, oh, if he was playing to the gallery, it would be because it is the government of the day, because the Minister of Power is an APC minister, he would not. But of course, that is not why he was elected. He was elected to represent the people. He was elected to make sure that, apart from making laws, apart from oversight functions, which are the basic responsibility of a legislature, you must also ensure that infrastructural development that are brought to the people are working, and the people are getting the dividends of democracy.
Well, let's move on to the Niger Delta now. As it stands, the Senate President is viewed and considered, the father of
The leader.
the leader of the political scene in the Niger
Yes.
Delta at the moment. How has he been able to maintain that cordial relationship and loyalty from people of the Niger Delta as a whole, governors of states within the Niger Delta? We've seen the governor of Akwa Ibom State defecting from the People's Democratic Party to the APC, even long before we saw this wave of defections that people started talking about. And I understand that that defection was largely influenced, due to the good relationship between the governor and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. How has he been able to put the heads of the Niger Delta people together as their leader?
It's very obvious. Even before the vice president was looking at the constitution of the APC, by the time the governor defected, he clearly said it. He said, look, I'll take the back burner. The governor is a leader of the party in my state. And that is what he ensured. Edo, the party played in ensuring that APC,
quite a very symbolic
you
statement
must
there.
give him that credit. Do you understand? Behind the scene, even on the scene, even he had to physically go to ensure that the elections were not only won, but was won decisively, and he has been proved right by the Supreme Court. And today we have a senator who was serving under the 10th Senate, under his leadership of the 10th Senate, as the governor of Edo State. And we have a House of Rep member, because don't forget, I keep saying he is the chairman of the National Assembly, who is the deputy governor. So you can see the impact of what his leadership of the Niger Delta has been. He's delivered Edo State to APC in an election. When we had the PDP governor, his governor has come into APC. Now we have Delta governor, which is my governor, Sheriff Oborewori, has come into the APC. We already had Cross River as APC. Then Rivers, which I know very soon will come into the APC. So what has it shown? He has shown clear leadership. Bielsa, that everybody thought was not going to come into the APC, he was able to also bring in, and for all these defections, he personally has gone to receive those governors. What is more important is not even only receiving the governors under the APC. He has also tried to see how he can send the dividends of democracy through the South-South Development Commission, which he insisted. Because a lot of people felt, since we had the Niger Delta Development Commission,
there is no need for the South-South Development Commission.
But he made it clear, and it was clear that, look, the Niger Delta Development Commission is for oil-producing areas. And what people don't know is that the Niger Delta Development Commission do not only have the 6 states of the Niger Delta, it also has Ondo, it has Imo, and it has Abia. Imo and Abia is in the southeast, Ondo is in the southwest. And so if the southwest has their development commission and the southeast has their development commission, then it just follows that the South Development Commission had to bet.
And that has been thriving well.
Well, we can't say it's thriving well. It's still it's new.
It's just in its early stages.
They are going through their teething problems, like every other development commissions are expecting funding, and so we can't judge them yet. But by the time funding comes, I'm sure by this time next year, we should be able to judge the South Development Commission. And I know it's his baby. He's going to follow through to ensure that they deliver on their mandate.
Now, let's talk about an aspect of him that a woman that has been his backbone all this while, his wife.
Yes.
She has quite done a lot of good for the women and youth and people of Niger Delta as a whole, alongside her husband. We have seen, a lot of community empowerment schemes, women being given money, being given sewing machines, farmers being given fertilizers. You name it. The incentives are just endless. In this situation, how much of a backbone do you think she has been? And do you think that maybe celebrating his 63rd birthday, there might be some, replica of what she has been doing once again for the people of the Niger Delta?
I remember when I went to Uyo, that was about December. Yeah, December ending. And it was a massive empowerment program. In fact, I was so shocked. I didn't even know it was going to be that big. One thing I noticed was the role that was being played by Lady Onoma Akpabio.
Her Excellency.
I noticed that the whole program was just anchored by her. And I could see as a communication strategist, someone who is also into strategy, I saw the way the program was dutifully made. Interestingly, the hotel I stayed in was in Ikotekpene. That's 4 Points Sheraton. And I could overlook where the stadium, where the empowerment program was done. And I did notice that even after the main empowerment, I could still see her. She didn't know this. I could still see her every other day going there to ensure that every item that was given, and it's difficult for people that are politicians to ensure that every item that you give gets to the person, that is being given. Sometimes it's normal, people put studio names, they put names that do not exist, just to ensure that they collect these items and they sell these items, and it defeats the objective.
That's right.
And I saw someone who was very thorough. This is a first-hand experience. I was with my wife. That's the first time she was coming to and she was so impressed. We kept looking out of the window. For every 3 days, I think, before we left, which was close to the New Year, we saw that she was coming there.
Wow.
And the items were there. They were depleting. So that tells you the story. That story I just told, sums up the support a woman can give a man. If she can make sure herself personally, she could easily have delegated, but she didn't delegate.
But she
and I was mostly impressed.
Yeah, she's always there. She's always present.
She goes to every ward. And I was joking with the Senate President. I was like, this one that the governor has defected to Akwa Ibom. There's really no opposition now. Why is your wife still bothering with? I'm telling you, I told him in all honesty, and he said no, that's how she is. That for her, it's not about opposition.
Yeah.
It's about giving to the people. And she even goes beyond Akwa Ibom Northwest. And that's a very good thing. Because naturally, people keep forgetting that before Godswill Akpabio became Senate President, he has a primary constituency, he has a primary senatorial district, which is for the people of Akwa Ibom Northwest.
Well, we have just a few minutes to wrap up the discussion, Sir Kenny. On a lighter note, I would say the words of the Senate President. Is there anywhere that we will see food to eat at this moment?
No, I don't think the Senate President wants us to make any noise because of the mood of the nation. Even from some of us that had made some plans, we felt his pulse, and we could see that he doesn't want because of the mood of the nation. We just
so it's going to be a very
wish him a happy
solemn
birthday,
celebration.
Yes, he will just have his prayers. Most likely at the National Assembly today. We might just cut a cake. At least that's a significant. But
well, Sir Kenny,
taking the mood of the nation, there will be no need.
That is your camera. I know that we have been speaking about the Senate President for the past 20-something minutes, but I just want you to look there and say your wishes for the Senate President on his 63rd birthday.
I always call him boss. Happy birthday, boss. Just like I have always said, at 63, you still have a whole lot to give to the society. We can only wish you long life, wish you many more years on this earth, and the Senate presidency is not the end. We wish for bigger positions, and your impact has been felt, but we want a bigger impact by the time you have rounded up your Senate presidency, and Nigerians would indeed tell that you have been a man of uncommon difference, just like you have earned. Happy birthday, many happy returns. Congratulations, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Sir Kenny.
Thank you for having me.